Lorraine is located in the upper right-hand corner of France, shown in red in the map of France on the right. Lorraine has many important geographical features that combine with its rich history to make it a special and important region of France. Lorraine's capital city is Metz. Lorraine contains 4 departments: Meuse, Meurthe-et-Moselle, Moselle, and Vosges. Interestingly, Lorraine is the only French region to border 3 other countries. The borders of Lorraine touch Belgium, Luxembourg, and Germany. Because of its rich history and beautiful scenery, tourism is incredibly important in Lorraine. Lorraine is the home of the Mirabelle plum, a fruit primarily grown in Lorraine, but beloved around the world. The major tourism attractions in Lorraine are its World War I battle sites, like the Verdun battlefield, historical and architectural attractions like the Cathedral of Saint-Étienne-de-Metz, and recreational opportunities like the Vosges Mountains. Catholicism is the primary religion in Lorraine. Lorraine is home to many rich natural resources. In the late 19th century, Lorraine had extensive iron ore and coal deposits. This led to heavy industrialization in the region. Those resources, however, are no longer as abundant as they once were. Now, only one steelmaking area exists in Lorraine, in the area south of Thionville. Salt is mined in Meurthe-et-Moselle. Some farming, mostly of cereals like wheat and barley, takes place in Lorraine. Agriculture consists primarily of raising beef and dairy cattle. The key components of the economy in Lorraine are industries like vehicle assembly and components, food and drink products, furniture, paper, glassware and crystal, mechanical engineering, electronics and electrical equipment manufacturing, and tourism, in part due to a theme park in Moselle, the Vosges Mountains, and the various historical and aesthetic and religious attractions. Claims to fame in Lorraine include the Mirabelle plum, the Vosges Mountains, Joan of Arc, and Metz, a vibrant and popular city. Lorraine is home to many notable historical figures. 2 of the most influential are Joan of Arc and Jules Ferry. Born January 6, 1412 in Domremy, France, Joan of Arc is arguably the most famous woman in French history. A military general, a martyr, and later deemed a saint of the Catholic Church, Joan of Arc is revered as the unifier of the nation of France in the 15th century. As a 13-year-old, Joan saw a vision of Archangel Michael, who told her that she was called by God to escort the Dauphin King of France to his coronation. Joan pursued her calling with earnestness and finally accomplished her task. She became a hugely successful general, all the while following the voices from God that gave her direction. Joan of Arc was imprisoned by France's enemy, England, and put on trial. She was convicted for wearing men's clothes and condemned to die. On May 30, 1431, Joan of Arc was burned at the stake. She was 19 years old. Before she died, Joan of Arc said, "One life is all we have, and we live it as we believe in living it. But to sacrifice what you are and to live without believing, that is a fate more terrible than dying." Another famous and influential Lorrainian is Jules Ferry. Born April 5, 1832 in Saint-Dié-des-Vosges, Jules Ferry was an important politician in 19th century France. During his lifetime, Ferry served as mayor of Paris and prime minister of France. Ferry's administration saw 2 important works: the organization of non-clerical public education and the colonial expansion of France. Jules Ferry served 2 terms as prime minister. He was a member of the Independent Party. A Roman Catholic, Ferry studied law and contributed to newspapers before getting involved in politics. Like historical figures, Lorraine has many historical sites that contribute to its unique heritage. Our first historical site is one of the most famous cathedrals in France. Saint-Étienne-de-Metz is a cathedral located in Metz, Lorraine. It is the seat of the Bishop of Metz. This majestic cathedral has one of the highest naves in the world. The cathedral is nicknamed La Lanterne du Bon Dieu, or the Good Lord's Lantern. Built from 1220 to 1550, the Metz Cathedral is a Gothic-era edifice that draws tourists, religious enthusiasts, and even the Pope to its arched halls. Attila's Huns sacked the cathedral in 451, the only structure in the cathedral surviving being the shrine of Saint Stephen. In 1755, French architect Jacques-François Blondel made aesthetic changes to the cathedral. Again, in 1877, the cathedral was damaged, this time due to fireworks. The cathedral was refurbished in the neo-Gothic style. The second historical site is the Meuse-Argonne American Cemetery. The Meuse-Argonne American Cemetery is a 130-acre cemetery that holds the largest number of American fallen soldiers in Europe, most of whom lost their lives in the Meuse-Argonne Offensive of 1918. 14,246 American soldiers are buried at the Meuse-Argonne Cemetery, and 954 missing in action soldiers are honored there as well. Thousands of pure white crosses stand in rows on the green hills of the cemetery in Romans-du-Faucon in the Meuse department of Lorraine. The cemetery is home to a chapel that further commemorates and honors the lost lives. Visitors to the cemetery can search the names of fallen soldiers and locate the grave of the soldier. Today, the Meuse-Argonne American Cemetery, located in Lorraine, France, helps family members remember their loved ones who died for their country in World War I. Many significant historical events have taken place in Lorraine, but perhaps none so influential as two major World War I battles. This offensive is also known as the Battle of the Argonne Forest. Like every military offensive, the Meuse-Argonne offensive had many problems and setbacks, but overall it was a large contributing factor in bringing about the armistice that ended the war. The greatest American battle of World War I, the Meuse-Argonne offensive was a complex military operation. The offensive objective was to capture the railroad hub at Sedan, breaking off the Germans' access to supplies and forcing them to retreat from occupation of enemy country. Led by General Pershing, the Meuse-Argonne offensive was the primary engagement of the American Expeditionary Forces during World War I. The offensive involved 1.2 million American soldiers and ended with 26,277 deaths and 95,786 wounded. The offensive lasted for a total of 47 days, ending when the Allies signed a treaty with Germany on November 11, 1919, ending the First World War. Another incredibly important battle that took place in Lorraine is the Battle of Verdun. Verdun, a city located on the Meuse River in Lorraine, France, has long held an important strategic position in wars. In 1916, during World War I, the German forces readied an offensive attack on the French forces at Verdun. They used a strategic design to lure the French forces into a strategically dangerous position, where the Germans could easily kill a catastrophic amount of French troops while they themselves suffered little casualties. The German strategy, however, was unrealistic, and they did not achieve what they hoped for. Because of the particularly horrible nature of the fighting done at Verdun, morale was devastated among both German and French troops. Many men left the battle with shell-shock, fatigue, and unforgettable memories of carnage and slaughter. Not only did the Battle of Verdun devastate lives, it devastated the land surrounding the area, resulting in very poor living conditions for the soldiers on both sides. Fought between February 21st and December 18th, 1916, the Battle of Verdun was bloody, brutal, and incredibly long. German deaths are estimated at 143,000 and French at 162,440. Strategically, the Battle of Verdun didn't come close to meriting that number of deaths. From tourist attractions to industry to history, Lorraine is an uncommonly unique region of France. It has seen death and destruction, upheaval, diverse and motley cultural impacts, and a rich religious story unfold. Through it all, Lorraine has developed an unparalleled culture.